Welcome to Whole Being Health, Function, Mastery and Vitality. I am of course your host Warren Williams, and we are continuing our interview series. The focus today is on education in the fitness industry and its transference to wellness. I am here with my good friend Abbey Dubisson, who's going to correct me briefly on his name. So Abbey, just give us your surname.
It's Dubussion.
Okay, so that's the correct pronunciation. So now, Abby, this is a really controversial subject. We've talked together for a long time, so before we start our talk, can you just explain your background in the fitness industry?
Background in the fitness industry has been now since officially since what 97. But before that, it would have been visiting my dad who works in a health club in London and helping him out there for a number of years, and also being in the military as well. Planning to be a physical education instructor there,
Mhm.
and from that side, it's been the journey continuously. So I've kind of become an amalgamation of my dad from the performance side and my mum from being a nurse and working in a London hospital and visiting her a lot, understanding the health aspect as well. So I've become a bit of an amalgamation of them both.
Okay, and if you could just tell us exactly what you've studied.
I've studied a range of areas. Started off with obviously the classic personal training certificate, but found that it wasn't enough. Looked at going to university, started a university degree, and found that it wasn't in the right direction. Understanding that the personal training certificate is the highest certificate you can get in training someone. And I found this gentleman called Mr. Paul Check, who answered a lot of the questions, and took me on another journey. So people from Paul Check, Gary Gray, a number of those different practitioners have really opened up my mind to how big the world is from a health and fitness point of view.
And then if you could just tell us what level you are in Czech.
Check level 2 and HLC 2.
Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, don't you have some other qualifications in
Um,
sports?
in sports, yeah, a range of coaching certificates, from being a teacher, obviously, a range of massage certificates from a soft tissue point of view, a range of certificates, ranging from Chinese face reading, to tuning fork, healing stuff, with a great lady named Miss Emma Lane,
Who we've
who,
both studied with also, yeah.
yeah, who keeps opening and blowing my mind every time I talk to her.
Cool. So just to summarize, so you've got Chet level two, HLC level two.
Yeah,
So that's for those who don't know, that's holistic lifestyle coaching. You've also done sports remedial massage, is it?
yeah, sports therapy as well. So there's a
Sports
sports therapy
therapy,
as well,
tuning
neuromuscular
forks,
tuning forks,
and then you said neuromuscular.
neuromuscular therapy stuff as well.
Okay, cool. So you've done quite a broad range of education. So you'd be a good person to be able to educate and give back to the fitness industry. Now, the purpose of my talk and why I wanted to invite you as a guest today is to kind of talk about something that we've both noticed in the fitness industry, which is the lack of education that I see whenever we have been on workshops and courses together, where and for me this is a big issue because if you lack education as a butcher
Mhm.
or you lack education as a telesales person, you're not going to get someone killed, unless you sell them the wrong item and it comes and then in the post and it's the wrong thing and it's a medication or something. But from a point of view of working with somebody's body, my issue with this is that these personal trainers, from my point of view, are poorly educated and they are trusted by their clients that they will not break them, they will not give them the wrong advice, and they will not die. Now, we know that a lot of these, as I said, have very poor education. So I wanted to bring you on because you're one of the educators that sees the behind scenes and what's going on in the educational sector when it comes to health and well-being. So if you could summarize what you think is wrong with the state of the education in the fitness industry?
The education industry, well, first of all, you've had a big change of the type of trainer that's coming in. As of before, you'd have the person who did a lot of fitness stuff and a lot of training coming into the industry with an understanding of movement, where they would need a short course to just expand their knowledge on exercise to top up what they already knew, to now where you're getting people coming in um, who have no experience in the gym whatsoever, wanting to be personal trainers,
Mm.
and the courses haven't changed or progressed to meet the need. Also, the number of training providers that are coming about, they're popping up everywhere,
Mm.
and the providers are mainly focused, which is understandable, to meeting the educational levels of making sure that someone passes the assessment criteria. So they're assessment ready, but not industry ready.
Okay, and explain that. What does that mean?
So in other words, for each level, you have to perform a certain amount of exercises, a certain amount of understanding, and then that's it. So you'll have a real broad range. You'll have the person who comes in with vast amounts of experience in the gym and working with people in whatever job they've been in, and they excel. As opposed to, you get the person who comes in who is never really, people will come in and you'd ask them they'll be saying, I've never used a bench press before.
Mm.
And that kind of scares me from thinking a guy being stereotypical has never used a bench press before.
But he's going to be a trainer, is
He's
that?
going to be a trainer. So and that's probably the biggest downfall at the moment with the industry.
Mm.
Is we try our best to support our learners, but ultimately it's a business.
Yeah.
So the needs of the business will overcome the quality.
Mm.
And you've got some great trainers out there who go above and beyond, but there's only so much they can do.
Mm.
And these trainers are going out to a certain degree ill-equipped.
Yeah. So let's, really put it out there and be specific. What's the problem? Like, what are they lacking educationally? Is it the knowledge that they're lacking? Is there their capacity to retain information that's lacking? Is it the speed of the qualifications? Is the lack of educational support? Off camera, we spoke a bit briefly about mentoring. Just start labeling, be really
Yeah,
specific, start labeling what's missing.
the support, probably the biggest thing that's missing is the time for the student to reach the end of the journey. Because more and more of them just want to come in, learn what they have to learn, and get out into the industry
So they can make money.
so they can make money. But the one thing I've noticed more than anything, they're doing that, but they're watering down the service that they deliver. So then they're no longer actually delivering personal training.
So what do you think they're delivering instead?
Um, they're delivering. I would say they're delivering the most. They're delivering what's in a magazine. To be honest, that's what I would say they're delivering. They're only regurgitating what someone will see in a magazine, which means that the person who's receiving that service
Mm.
doesn't seem to see the high value of it.
Yeah. I mean,
This thing.
I remember reading an article years ago, and the person that wrote it said personal trainers are professionals that aren't paid as such. So we know that personal trainers don't get paid that much unless they're a celebrity trainer, but their education matches the level that they're getting paid. So even though they're seen as professionals, the problem with that label of professionalism is the client's trust that person knows as much as they need to be able to help that person through any ailments. Now, we know, let's go statistics. We know that statistically, every single personal trainer is met with clients they are currently working with clients that have back issue or predisposed back issues, and they don't assess these people for any form of dysfunction or dysfunction in the spine. They don't assess for whether it's a fracture or stenosis, a spondylolisthesis, a disc bulge, derangement of any type. They don't screen for this sort of stuff.
Mm.
And what we see is a lot of personal trainers, as you said, regurgitating the exact exercises that are geared towards aesthetics rather than function. So let's talk about function for a minute. What is lacking in the industry as to why you have a lot of these personal trainers that honestly don't know what functional exercise really is?
That would come down to the way the qualifications are taught, because the expectation of what they have to learn in terms of exercise selection at level two is literally a list of exercises that would be found in, say, a bodybuilding book. How to use a machine, how to do the standard compound isolated exercises. And at level three, it should move to understanding movement. What you're finding more and more is that the teacher of the course isn't experienced enough to open the mind of the student to think outside the box and to look at movement. We have separate courses that will go into those, what is function, and what is functional movement, and in the understanding that function is whatever the outcome is. So it could be a bicep curl because they want to get big biceps, but that's the opening up of what the actual word is. But they're not very. A lot of people don't take the courses up because once they get to level three, they believe that they understand that I just need to operate of getting a muscle bigger or getting smaller, and that's it.
So okay, so you're saying that let me just clarify this for the viewers. You're saying that what they're being taught about function is really about isolation,
Yes.
and again geared towards aesthetics, and that's what's wrong with that.
Yeah, it's more about muscles, not movement, and it's more about you are a luxury, not a necessity.
Right. Okay, so switching gears slightly, what's the difference? Can you give us a definition of the difference between functional, no, not functional, but fitness and wellness?
Well, we always look at wellness as a standard, and fitness is a goal, and fitness is performance,
Right.
and wellness is maintaining your current status, looking at homeostasis and allostasis. That's where wellness really comes in. It's the management of your current state, and interlinking, as opposed to fitness is a performance outcome
Right.
that you
Okay.
achieve and then will come down and go back to your wellness.
Okay, so thanks for that definition. So now, going back to the educational side of it, do you think that the industry is focusing enough on wellness, or is it driven by the aesthetic side of it? So its focus is on fitness.
With the younger trainers coming in, it's focused on the fitness. With the older trainers coming in, it's focused on the wellness.
Okay.
And there's that real broad spectrum of what is right and what is wrong, and they only look for one answer. They don't
Right.
see how big the spectrum is. Like we've always said, every trainer is driven by their own personality and their own needs. So they do what they like doing, as opposed to doing what they have to do.
Okay, and then with the learning styles, what do you find with the learning style of the educators? Are they teaching them in a style that allows these people that are coming up to have this information, to be able to hold on to this information, interpret it, and then be able to convey it to their clients?
No, because they don't have the time to like if you've got like a course for a year, you first of all know who's coming in the room beforehand, so you'll have an understanding of where their learning style is at the moment, so you could adapt the teaching style to meet that need. Um, the and that's the key part is having the time to understand, like a client, who they're working with, to take the appropriate choices to make sure that they're understanding. Um, is having the time to test regularly for the retention of the information in the long term memory and the application of the information.
And are these things being done?
They're done at a very basic level, but it is very taxing and draining for the teacher, especially if they're teaching either a course which is 7 weeks long or a course which is 4 days long.
Mm,
And the numbers in the room can range from, say, 12 students right up to 20 students.
mm,
And the age range can range from, say, 18 right up to late 50s.
mm.
And you could have a range of, you've got the theorist who wants to sit there and just wants to be told, as opposed to you've got the pragmatist who needs to do it to understand it.
Mm.
And we're in a catch-22 where we need you to understand it, but we also need you to be able to apply it
Right.
from a demonstration point.
So what's kind of summarize what do you think the solution is moving forward as an educator in the industry?
The solution would be the solution always comes at a cost of the training provider. Is making the courses longer, and giving more support on the training aspect, as in the subject knowledge, but also mentoring the person as opposed to giving them what they want,
Right.
is getting them to understand themselves.
And how does the mentoring support this? How does that make it better?
Well, if in other words, in simple terms, they're now being treated like a client.
Right.
So they're getting to understand the journey of what it's like to be a client
Mm.
under an experienced trainer,
Yeah.
which will then give them a base to start with to then form their own
Mm.
outlook and their own um, outlook and their own aspects on what they think is right and what is wrong.
Mm. Okay, so just slightly switching gears, going to a few of my pet hates for the fitness industry. I remember years ago when I would be training people at a specific health chain, and I saw one guy that came in, and he was a quote unquote personal trainer, and he had a fitness magazine, a popular fitness magazine, and he probably spent £3.20 on this magazine. And I said to him, and he was looking through a specific workout routine, and I said to him, "Okay, well, what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just getting my routine ready for my client." I was like, "What's your routine?" He goes, "Oh, this magazine." And I was like, "Okay, so you're going to train your client based on a routine in a bodybuilding magazine. Is your client a bodybuilder? No. Why are you?" And then I just left it. I was like, "Okay." And I constantly see this, and we've seen in gyms where you've got personal trainers that are copying your exercises. They don't know why you're doing it. They
Yeah,
haven't qualified the client for these exercises, but yet they're administering these exercises. And I guess this goes back to the education, because they lack the education to make these assertions and being able to test and assess. So, with regards to that, what do you think is being done or is missing with regards to how they are assessing and how they are progressing their clients?
yeah. Like I said before, yeah, when they come in on the course, all they want to know is how do I pass,
Mm,
um, which causes a lot of stress for the tutors. So sometimes the tutors are put in a position where they teach them one routine to pass the assessment,
mm,
and they don't look beyond that. And if they're challenged, or well, the word challenged is can be quite negative when they're asked questions to understand their level of training,
mm,
they clam up,
mm,
and they don't want to know. They want to know one way. So a simple one would be at level 3. As soon as you start talking about three-dimensional movement and planes of movement and exercise prescription to balance the program within that, that's it. You've lost the group.
wow. I mean, that stuff is underpinning. That's the stuff that they need to know. So, I know you're saying it's because the idea is they just want to pass, and that's sad. Obviously, like when we teach courses and workshops together, we always state straight away, paying isn't a permission to pass.
Yeah,
Competency is a permission to pass.
yeah,
So that's pretty much what you're saying. They're so driven by the need to get this education so they can just start working with clients. That's pretty much what's wrong. So it just needs to be slowed down, and they need to understand the true benefit of the assessment and the understanding of biomechanics at a higher level to what they are doing right now.
yeah. I mean that you've got the so you've got like in a training provider, you've got the quality department,
Yeah.
and the quality department, their understanding of what their expectation of a student
Mm.
is so high.
Yeah.
The downside is if they work to that standard all the time,
Mm.
so many people wouldn't get through.
Mm. But wouldn't that be better?
From a quality point of view, yeah. From a
Yeah.
business point of view, no.
So obviously their business is, as you said earlier, is the deciding factor in education.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I
Yeah.
mean, you need both sides. You need the quality, you need the business operators to, otherwise the business wouldn't survive.
Yeah.
And it's trying to find that happy medium,
Yeah. I mean,
which is the hardest part.
yeah. I mean, for me, ultimately, it's sad because, like I said, there's so many personal trainers out there that just don't know enough, and we know that there's a lot of very very dangerous exercises out there being prescribed, and like our coach Paul Check always says, prescribing the wrong exercise is like prescribing the wrong drug. You can get the wrong effect. And because these people are poorly educated and because their focus is on passing so they can make money, the downside to that is they're now playing Russian roulette with their clients. And that's why we get referrals from a lot of these people. And we have to constantly rehabilitate these people. And that for me is one of the things that's sad. So just before we close this chapter on education and move on to just some personal challenges that you face and you've gone through with clientele, is there anything else you wanted to just say just on the educational system in general?
This is the part that the what they learn is everything is everything that they need to start. It's just being able to give them the support
Mm.
on that journey, and that really starts with the clubs,
Right.
with giving them the support from a training point of view, not a business point of view.
Mm.
And then also it's the understand that a lot of these guys that are coming into the industry are rushing to go work outside of a gym, and they're not wanting to pay the rental fee.
Mm.
It's to stress the point that when you go into those gyms and pay that rent, you're paying to work with some of the most experienced trainers
Mm.
out there. So it's to do the research and look at the club and look at the trainers that are in there and interview them. And then you start seeing the £700 or the £1,500 you're paying in rent is worth every single penny.
Yeah, I actually used to say something years ago when I was talking to my clients about the because they were always saddened by the lack of education of the personal trainers that they'd previously gone to, and I said, well, if someone's spending £3,000 in study and that's all they have to do, and once they've passed, they can get clients and they're making money. What entices them to have to study more? That's a certain type of characteristic. Obviously, for myself and yourself, we're driven by the need to create excellence for our clientele and to
Yeah.
really help at the highest level. But a lot of these people, as you said, are driven by money. And ultimately, if that's what they're going to be driven on them, because the education system allows a quick turnaround, that's what we will get. So, just moving forward, kind of just finalizing this for yourself, just with your own personal clientele and stuff. What have you found as your personal challenges working with clients that have come from this poorly educated system of just thinking everything to do with well-being is really about performance and aesthetics? What have you found has been the most challenging topic to try to address when it comes to teaching these people that no, it's about lifestyle, it's about breathing, it's about function and posture? What do you find hard getting them to understand that?
Um, it's get them to slow down. With a lot of them now, it's more a case of not motivating them to expend energy, but it's more about motivating them to conserve energy and understand who they are,
Yeah,
because they're under that understanding that I need to train 5 times a week, and I'll turn around and say we're only going to train once a week,
yeah,
and you get this look of hold on, you don't want my money. I'm saying it's not about the money. It's more about you understanding the journey, and it's not about burning out in 6 weeks.
yeah, yeah. So obviously we both know that, like you said, a lot of these people, because they think to lose weight or to whatever goal it's about, push as hard as possible. But
Yeah.
what's wrong with that?
So you say what's wrong with?
with them pushing themselves as hard as possible? What's wrong with that? Them just saying, look, I want to lose weight, so I just want to train as hard as possible because obviously we get these clients. What's wrong with that?
Uh, what's right with it would be well, they're under that impression that if for me to expend it or get rid of it, I've got to do more.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and I've with a number of my clients, I've got them to train less, and they've lost more.
And give us an example, a quick example of how that's happened.
Well, a number of female clients I've had, and male clients, is where we've focused on them actually slowing down and just breathing, like a simple one, as simple as things like every morning you get up and you just lay on your floor and you spend 5 or 10 minutes just breathing,
Yeah,
and just simple stuff like that, and getting them to drink appropriately, and not so get so worked up on what they're eating, but to just slow down.
yeah.
And I've got the stats where they've lost weight on the scales and in their body fat, and also that their mental clarity has gone up, and they've got that sense of feeling and being a bit happier.
Having done the same sort of thing with my clients, I'll kind of clarify just for the listeners about physiologically how this is happening. So we know that most of our clients come to us sympathetically overworked through their own work. They may work 60-hour weeks and then they want to go to the gym and punish their body when they're already at their reserve level. So they're probably in stage 2 or stage 3 adrenal fatigue.
Yeah,
So they're already burnt out. Their organs are actually competing with their muscles for energy, and now they want to actually take the energy that their organs have from the organs to the muscles because they want to work hard. So when you say getting them to cut back, what you're actually doing is you're actually giving more energy back to the system so that the systems can heal. And once the systems heal and they shift to a parasympathetic rest recovery response, then your body doesn't have to hold on to toxins, doesn't have to hold on to sugar, and doesn't have to hold on to fat, which is supporting the hormonal system, so they lose the weight anyway.
yeah, yeah. No, absolutely, yeah. And it's the simple ones of not looking at goals, but looking at developing behaviours and giving them the as you would call it a optimal and a suboptimal. So in that a simple one of 21 meals a week, the optimal would be 21 good meals, and at your suboptimal will be 18 good meals with the leeway of the others. So they've got a buffer to work with, and they've got different ranges to work with.
Okay, and then how do you how do you work with clients typically nowadays? As in, what do you do? Do you do assessments? Do you do nutritional stuff? Like, specifically categorize how
Yeah.
you work with people.
There's always the assessment point of view. There's always the assessment point, but sometimes it depends on what type of client I get coming in to see me. If they're very sympathetic, very driven, and their mind is very direct, I will start with I'd have them in the gym. I'd get them doing what they want to do, and be doing my assessments at the same time, while giving them what they want.
Right.
As opposed to some other clients where it'll all start with like a 2 hour assessment on looking at them physically, and then also getting subjective feedback from questionnaires, and then getting objective data from some simple tests, like say the zinc tally test, from how many zincs that have they got optimally in their body, and then using the Chinese face mapping stuff as well, of how the face tells you about what their different organs are doing. So I get an idea, and then if needed, we'll do the functional diagnostic stuff or the fungal and parasite lab tests.
Okay. And then once you've gotten that information, you do your labs, and whatever comes back, what's your typical, what the typical solutions that you do once you've gotten this typical information back? What's the next step?
Well, the next step is setting up a baseline, using certain principles so they have a baseline to follow to form a regimented routine to start with.
And is that started with nutritional supplements or nutritional guidelines? Or does it start with exercise?
It's a combination of everything, but it's mainly looking at the simple nutritional guidelines. So won't use any supplements straight away. Sometimes I will. Most of the times I won't use any nutritional supplements straight away because sometimes the change is too much for them. So sometimes it could be a case of I just give them two tasks to achieve in 4 weeks.
All right.
As opposed to we know if we give them 20, which we know that they need, they sometimes will just not do any of it. They'll self-sabotage.
And when you say tasks, you mean lifestyle tasks or lifestyle changes?
Yeah, more, yeah, behavioral changes, yeah,
Okay.
lifestyle changes,
Yeah.
and making sure that it links to what their dream is.
And then when do you start with their physical exercise?
Usually within about 2 weeks.
So is this after the nutritional guidelines have started, in between?
Well, at the beginning, so they'll have the questionnaires straight away. So the first one will be always the questionnaires.
Okay.
And doing that in those questionnaires will be the nutritional stuff as well. So when they come in for the assessment, they'll do the physical assessment, and then we'll also do some objective nutritional assessments.
Okay.
From there, I'll give them nutritional protocols
And
and
that's the lifestyle changes you're talking
lifestyle
about.
changes, and then also a basic home program, which tends to be the long-term postural changes. So
Okay.
the
So
TVA, the breathing stuff, all of the real basic volume stuff that's needed
yeah.
is given them to be done at home.
So okay. So I just want to clarify this. So once they've done all their labs if necessary, and you've given them their exercise, sorry, their lifestyle coaching tips,
Yeah,
2 weeks later, you will typically start their exercise
yes,
section. Okay.
yeah.
And then you start off with more postural work, and then the next stage after that would be. So basically, I'm trying to figure out when do you get to the point where you actually do their hard training?
It will depend what their outcome will be.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's all
that,
driven by because for some people it may be a case of we're not in the gym full stop.
right.
For some of them, it could be a case of we need to do some soft tissue stuff and we need to do more energetic work
Yeah.
to bring your vitality up before we even go into that catabolic window of training because your body's not ready to adhere to the changes in the gym.
And how many percentage wise of your clients do you think are at a stage where they're just not ready for this high catabolic training when
Quite a
they
lot,
come to you, percentage
quite a lot of them.
wise?
Yeah, quite a lot of them. Um,
50, 60, 70?
Maybe 40%.
Okay.
Yeah, 40%. And even the ones that are ready for it, it could be a case of they'll walk in to train with me and I'll look at the program, I'll get an idea of what state they're in, and that program will get crashed and we'll be in the therapy room doing more energetic work. So anything from tuning forks to zoning exercises to meditation stuff.
Okay. And just to clarify for the viewers, zone exercises are more like Tai Chi. So, when you talk about all those sort of things, it's almost like the reverse to what most people do. Because most people want to just come in and they just want to crash bang wallop. They want to train as hard as possible. But what you're saying is, it's the same sort of thing that we do. Is we have to actually make sure that they're prepared to be able to punish their body. But most people, especially the type of people we were talking about right at the start of this talk, the personal trainers, they're not doing any of this sort of stuff, and that's the problem with the educational industry as well. So. Yeah, so thank you for clarifying that. And when people work with you, can you work? How do you work? Is it on Skype? Is it in person? Can they, how does it work with
It's a
contacting
range
you?
of systems on Skype, and then also we use another online system where we have all the videos, the questionnaires are all set up so we can work remotely with people
Okay.
around the world. And then we have different locations for doing the assessments as well.
Okay, and then what's your company name and how can people contact you?
The company name's 4D Balance, four dimensional balance, which is ultimately it's looking at the time aspect of helping people understand the timely balance of doing different things.
And how can people contact you?
They can contact me via email, which is abby at 4dbalance.com, which is probably the main thing. And then from there on, we've got the other websites and also telephone numbers.
Cool. All right, Abby. Well, thanks for your time today, and I'm so grateful for you to be able to communicate your information to us. And yeah, hopefully we'll continue this interview series at some point. So thanks again for your time.
Thanks a lot,
All
Warren.
right, bye.
Take care.